All right, here we go. Day 2 of section 1.4, absolute value equation. Going to run through one from last week, just kind of, or yesterday, just kind of refresh your memory. So let's do this. Remember, when we have an absolute value, if there's stuff outside the absolute value, we've got to get that cleaned up first. We got to deal with that. So the first thing I'm going to do here is divide both sides by 4. 4 divided by 4, 1. So now I have absolute value 2x plus 7 equals 4. Now here's the kicker. I've got to write two equations. Set it equal to the positive, set it equal to the negative. So I have 2x plus 7 equals 4. 2x plus 7 equals negative 4. So that's how we do absolute value equations. That's a mess. So solve the equation like normal here. Subtract 7 from both sides. 2x equals negative 3. Divide by 2. X equals negative 3 over 2. Subtract 7 from both sides here. 2x equals negative 11. Divide by 2. X equals negative 5.5. Improper, mixed numbers, don't care. That's what we did on Monday. So now we're going to take this and we're going to kick it up a notch. So something to write in your notes. If you have an absolute value equal to an absolute value, you solve the related equations, but you take what's in the first one, doesn't change. What's in the second one gets negated, and the whole thing gets negative in the second equation. So I'll show you what that means here in a second. So I have absolute value set equal to an absolute value. When you have this, you take what's in the first one, set it equal to exactly what's in the second one. Then you take the first absolute value exactly the same, equal to the opposite of what's in that absolute value. And then from here you just solve the equation. So I need to get the x's on the same side, so I'm subtracting 3x on both sides. Negative 4 is negative 2x. Divide x is 2. Over here, subtract 3x from both sides. Negative 4 is negative 4x. X is 1. Now, here's the deal about these. Talked about it a number of different times, a number of different ways. Checking answers. Let's see, do these answers actually work? I've got 2 and I've got 1. If I plug in 2, go back and check. So 3 times 2 minus 4. Does it work? 3 times 2 is 6. 6 minus 4 is 2. Is the absolute value of 2 equal to 2? Yeah, it is. Check 1. Check it. See if it works. 3 minus 1 is 3 minus 4. The absolute value is negative 1. Is the absolute value of 1 1? It sure is. So you check it, see if they work. 2 works, 1 works. So both of those are your solutions. So let's do, I want to do one here and show you something else. So what happens if there's no absolute value there? Okay? Rules are still the same. (2x plus 12 equals 4x). Then I set it equal to the opposite. 2x plus 12 equals negative 4x. Set it equal to the positive, set it equal to the negative, even if there's an x value there. go through and solve the equation. Again, get the x's on the same side. 12 equals 2x, 6 equals x. Subtract 12, negative 6x. Negative 2 equals x. Let's check and see if these answers work or not. So I'm going to plug in 6. 2 times 6 is 12. 12 plus 12 is 24. Is the absolute value of 24 24? Yes. That solution works. Over here, let's check. Two times negative 2 is negative 4. Plus 12 is 8. Is the absolute value of 8 equal to negative 8? No, it's not. This check didn't work. Did we do anything wrong? Because that should be the first thing going in your mind. Did I make a mistake? No. Set it equal to 4x. Set it equal to negative 4x. Subtract, divide, that was good. Subtract, divide, that was good. It didn't work. This is what's called an extraneous solution. You do the math right, but when you check it, it doesn't work. So this answer is rejected. It is not an answer to this problem. We did everything right, but it's not an answer to the problem. Okay? So when you have these, now the stuff we did yesterday, there were no variables over here. It wasn't absolute value, okay? If there's no variables here, extraneous solutions almost never show up. I'm gonna go ahead and say never. But when you start getting variables on both sides is when you start getting extraneous solutions. And it's really important to check your work, check both solutions, and see if one of them is extraneous, okay? All right, let's do, oh, I know what I wanted to do. Yep. Going back to what we talked about in the beginning. I take the first absolute value exactly like it is. I take the second absolute value the first time, no change. The second time I write it, I put a negative in front of the absolute value. Okay? You can do the opposite of the entire thing. So there's one step here before I can start solving things. Let me get that out of my way. Before I can start solving things is I need to distribute. Now I have an equation to solve. All right? So over here, get the variables on the same side. We talked about this before. The variables have dropped out. What happens? No solution. If these two numbers are different, it's no solution. If they're the same number, all reals. Different numbers, no solution. Over on this side, get the variables on the same side. I'm actually going to put this way. X comes out to be negative 8. We always want to check it. Put negative 8 in here. So I'm going to erase this because I'm a little out of room. Maybe not. That's -3, that's +3, but the absolute value comes out to be the same, so that checks out. Okay, so one side didn't give me a solution, but the other side did, perfectly fine. There's my solution, x is -8. All right, so there you go. When you have absolute value equal to an absolute value, you set it, keep the first absolute value the same, set it equal to this value and the opposite of it. And then lots of things can happen. You can get extraneous solutions. You can get no solution on one side. Make sure you're checking your answers. Plug them back into the original problem to see if they work, especially when you have variables on both sides. Those extraneous solutions can pop up. So I believe, yeah, that's just some extra practice. And there you go. So there you go. This is the basics of what we're talking about here. If it's equal to a number, you would set it equal to 8 and -8, equal to an absolute value. You got to do the opposite of everything that's in there. All right, take your time, shoot me questions.